We're going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Quarter of one, half of one, a quarter of one, and we're going live in 5, 4. Okay, so we're on. Well, welcome to Love and Money Secrets TV, and thank you for joining us for the Meditation Secrets Night. I'm very excited. I have a change of an equipment, so if things look different a little bit, maybe a little wider, it's because I'm using different computer equipment. My one computer went out on a blip on Friday, so I had to take it to Apple. And they're so awesome. They're having it shipped to me. I'll get it tomorrow. So I had to use my other computer, which is also Apple, but I had to set everything back up again. So little technical stuff, but it's okay. We managed to manifest this into being okay so that the broadcast is still going off as planned. It's so good. Tori and Julie, thank you. Oh my gosh, I love your hair. I see how you just got your hair done. I saw your picture, and now to see you on video, it looks really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
It was a long time in coming too. It's been almost a year since I've had my hair done. So,
well, it looks fantastic. Very, very youthful on you. I really like it a lot. So I'm really excited for this class. Julie, I am so happy and excited to see you too. Thank you.
Hello, thank you.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, look at your beautiful smile. So radiant. So where are you tuning in from, Julie?
I'm in Gisborne, New Zealand.
Wow, so you're in New Zealand, and what's the name of the city?
Gisborne.
Gisborne. I've never heard of Gisborne before, so I'm so glad to hear about it. I'd like someday in the very near future to go visit New Zealand. And
yes, we'd love to have you.
Oh, it's so awesome you're joining us from New Zealand. So we've got some exciting information here for tonight. I'm so glad that you guys are here. We're going to start off. We have some questions. I'm going to do a screen share. I didn't get a chance to write all of these questions down, but I wrote, I think, 3 of many questions that were sent. So we're going to start. Let's see if hopefully this will look good. You guys let me know if you can see this okay. Do you see that?
Yes.
And I'm trying to make this up here, but it's not kind of wanting to do this for me. That's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Okay. So I have 3 of these typed out, and depending on how far we get, we'll hopefully get through a few more of these questions. These were fantastic questions. I want to say thank you to Tori for asking me these questions, because this comes up quite a bit. So the first question is, do you ever speak out loud during, and you could see my type out, you see, you don't have to be perfect to do this. You just have to be willing. Okay, so do you ever speak out loud during guided meditation? So the answer to that question is yes. In fact, I want to share with you guys some tidbits and points about this, because this is, sometimes people think that in meditation, you have to be completely quiet all the time. That's not necessarily true. We have the image or the perception that meditation is always quiet, but there are many, many different forms of meditation. And so there's sitting meditations, standing meditations. Let me see, I think we got some more people. Oh, Ree is joining us here in just a second too. But as I was saying, there are many forms of meditation. We have sitting meditations, we have standing meditations, we have laying down meditations, we have walking meditations, and there's contemplative meditations. There's probably hundreds. I want to say there's an infinite number of different types of meditations. Some of them with your eyes open, some of them with your eyes closed. Some of them, you start off with your eyes either open or closed and then switch to another one. But, a more advanced form of meditation is one where you may start with your eyes closed or you may even have gotten to the state where you have mastered getting into theta or that alpha brainwave state where you don't even have to close your eyes, and you are anchored into the feeling of what that is by slowing down your breath in less than 10 breaths. I'm going to say 3 to 10 breaths. You're already in that theta slipping into alpha brainwave state. And so then you relax your eyes, your body is relaxed head to toe, and you may be walking and talking, or maybe not, but you could be in a meditative state as you're moving throughout your day, as you're doing a particular task. It's not common for people who are in the like first responders to be in that type of state where you center yourself through the breath. And so the whole purpose is to shut down and close out the chaos and the adrenaline rush, which is inherent to an emergency, because you have to be very clear-minded, you have to be very centered, because you are there as a first responder to keep people alive, people who are balancing between life and death. Your job is to tip them over to the life part and not have them slip away into the death part. And so you have to you yourself have to be very centered and very calmed in order to do that, and to have the clarity of mind to be able to diagnose and see what the status is of that person. And within seconds, okay, A, B, C. We literally have a protocol that's A, B, C: airway, breathing, circulation. The first 3 things we check. We have a visual inspection. And so there's protocols and something we call triage that we do as a first responder. So meditation affords you some of those same luxuries where you're able to get centered, very clear. You get out of your left brain and you go into your right mind, quite literally, where you're using your right mind. As you guys know, I talk about that in the Intuition Manifesto. And I quote a lot of the work by Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, who wrote an amazing book called A Stroke of Insight. And she's a neuroanatomist, where she has studied stroke victims for many, many years. And as, I don't know if you want to call it luck, but as things folded in her life, then she ended up getting a stroke. And so she was able to experience and witness what it was like to have a stroke that affected the left side of her brain. Her right side was completely intact, and the left side was slowly but surely losing its function, and it was like disappearing away. I talk about her experience in the book, and I talk about how she explains how the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain are 2 entirely separate organs. The average person thinks about the brain as an entire entity. We're aware that there's a right and a left side of the brain, but we think of it as an entire organ in and of itself. And it's actually 2 separate organs where they don't share anything from one side to the other, believe it or not. There is crossover energy, but the cellular makeup, everything is different from the right side as opposed to the left. And so in meditation, one of the key things that we do is we're getting in our right mind. If you notice in the English language, I love to talk about how there's so many clues in our words, in our language, in our phrases. And, we talk about how somebody went crazy and they went postal and they did harm to another human being. And oftentimes people will utter, "Oh my gosh, who in their right mind would do such a thing? Who would go crazy like that? Who would harm XYZ?" Well, no one in their right mind would ever do that, right? Our language even gives us the clue that we're supposed to stay in our right mind. So when it comes to speaking, when it comes to the issue of, do you ever speak out loud during guided meditations? The answer is going to be, it depends. Sometimes you are going to have the urging to speak out loud. Sometimes you're not going to have the urging to speak out loud and you're going to want to stay quiet. Sometimes, in fact, I'm going to share with you an experience that I had when I was at Dr. Joe's week-long event in Cancun, just the most recent one that I attended, which was the end of January to the 7th of February. And during that week-long event, and this happens at every event, but I'm just going to point this one out because this is the most recent. Now, one of my friends, her name is Teresa. She's been on some of these broadcasts before, and we've done some things online before. But one of the things that opened up for Teresa that had never happened for her before was that during the week long, all of a sudden, she had this urging to speak. However, her speech wasn't in English. It was in some sort of foreign language that she didn't. And now let me put the pause button here, because Teresa is originally from Canada. So she speaks English. She speaks French. She's from the French part. She's from Quebec. So she's fluent in French, fluent in English, and she also speaks Spanish. So she's multilingual. She understands what it's like to speak in a foreign language, to think in more than one language, okay? This was entirely different. It's coming from a different place. And so she started uttering these words, recognizing that it was some sort of foreign language, but really not having, I want to say control, from the sense that, you know, when you're talking, you have a certain intention when you're saying things. Oh, looks like Julie dropped out. We're going to get her to jump back in here. So I apologize if I have to, I don't have a moderator yet. So I'm doing it all, which I don't mind at all. But anyhow, so what happened during this, and during the week long, what happened was it didn't happen just once. So all of a sudden she started talking in this divine language, which later was revealed to us. As you meditate more, you're going to have more knowing, more, and you don't know. The only way I can describe it is as you continue to stay in your right mind and stay in that centered place, more things are going to come to you. Again, I talk about this in the Intuition Manifesto, because part of what you're doing is you're getting connected, you're tuned in, you're tapped in, you're turned on, where I mean, my goal has been to stay in that place all the time so that I'm always able to intuit things and to receive that guidance, which is my left brain. I'm limited, right? I'm limited by whatever life experiences I've had. I'm limited by whatever I learned in school. I'm limited by whatever conditioning I've had from my family system, from my neighborhood, from my society. All of that is limited, right? And so instead of tuning into that, which is what most of us do, my goal has been to stay in my right mind, where I'm tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to that divine download, where I'm always getting intuition, or what I call intuicognizance. And intuicognizance is intuitive knowing, cognizance. You have cognition, you have a knowing, which is not your normal sense of knowing. And you're like, there's no way I have no idea where this, well, you have an idea that it's coming from there, but you don't really know how you know it. But it's an identification of knowing, just as you know that you're, like what the color red is, you know that you don't need a genetic test to prove to you that you're a girl. Or if you're a guy, you don't need a genetic test to prove to you that you're a guy. There's certain things that you just know that you know that you know. So it's that level of knowing. So just to finish the story with Teresa, sorry, I have a little squeaky chair here. What ended up happening, she kept on speaking more and more and more. And as she didn't resist it, she just allowed it to come through, and it to just use the vessel of her being and her mouth it sounded pretty cool too. Then as she continues to embrace that and allow that to come through, then over the next several days, then she started to recognize what it was that was coming through her in terms of what it meant. At the beginning, she didn't know what it meant. I have some experience with this, so I knew that it was either like a light language, or it was definitely a divine language that was coming from above. And I knew that the energy would reveal itself, because that's how this all works. As you get used to that energetic flow, then the feeling, it's kind of like, just like if you were like, for example, like sometimes it could be a vision, it could be a feeling, and then I have to use English to express as accurately as I can what it is that I'm intuiting. So it's not like it's given to me. I mean, sometimes there are words that are verbatim, but not always. Oftentimes you have to interpret the feeling and the sense so that the person who I'm supposed to give the message to will get whatever it is that's supposed to be delivered, if that makes any sense. So all of that to say, that yes, sometimes I do speak during guided meditations. The bottom line is that meditation is to know yourself. So if you have the urging to say something, I'm going to say, go with the feeling and the urge to speak, whether it's in English or some unknown language, it doesn't matter. Allow yourself to be in that space. There's an energy that is trying to come through as you allow. I talk a lot about, also in the Intuition Manifesto, I talk about that accept, receive, and embrace, ARE, which is that's a form of being, right? Another way, we are present here. I am being present as I do this broadcast, and collectively, all of us, we are present. So R is a form of being. And so if you look at the word R and just use it as an acronym, that came to me in a meditation where I literally saw in red 3 letters, ARE, and then I saw accept, receive, embrace. And I thought, oh man, that is cool. And then shortly thereafter, they gave me a meditation, which was an accept, receive, and embrace meditation. So as you have the urging to speak, or the other thing is, I think it ties with the next part of the question that Tori had here. It says, for instance, during one meditation, Dr. Joe says, what thoughts do you no longer want? Okay, so in meditation, you're knowing yourself. So as you hear him guiding you, asking you, what thoughts do you no longer want? So you maybe you're aware, you're noticing that you had a thought, or maybe you even said it out loud, or maybe you wrote it to somebody during the day. But in recognition of what it was that you said that maybe was something that you don't want to create, you can go, oh, you know what? I said, oh my gosh, I'm so crazy. Really? If you keep on asserting that you're so crazy, you're going to be crazy. There's an energy to the words that you say. There's an energy to the words that you write. There's an energy to the words that you think. So if you're saying, like, I know someone who probably about 15 years ago, 18 years ago, she started saying, oh, I'm losing my mind. I can't tell the difference between Tuesday and Thursday, blah, blah, blah. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. Well, guess what? Fast forward from when she first started, I started recognizing that she was saying that, to now, she has dementia that has not gotten better. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse. But the thought that she has, and mind you, no one in her family has dementia, but she started saying, I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. Well, guess what? She has lost some of her mind. That's the command. That's the thought that she had. Her 3D manifestation was to say it to whoever was close that was around her. And so unfortunately, that's the state in which she's in. None of her sisters, her brother doesn't have that condition. Her parents never had that condition, but she spoke that into existence. That's the command that she gave her brain, and her brain, being a faithful servant, it went not only from her conscious mind and stayed there, but it went into her subconscious mind and it took the order. And slowly but surely, she's been losing her mind, where she has, unfortunately, she has kind of a more advanced dementia. It doesn't have to be that way, but that is the case. So if you catch yourself saying something like that, or, oh, it just breaks my heart to hear, you hear, cancel. Anytime you hear yourself saying, oh, it breaks my heart to hear blah, blah, blah. Do you really want to have a broken heart?
No.
I don't want the physical manifestation of a broken heart. Thank you very much. As empathic as I am, I don't have to break my own heart in order to have empathy or compassion for another. So as you noticed, as soon as I said, oh, it breaks my heart, cancel. I say cancel because I'm telling my brain cancel. This is for teaching and instruction. This is not really what I want. So you can say, and Dr. Joe, in Becoming Supernatural, as well as Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and in You Are the Placebo, in those 3 books, he talks about, as soon as you have the recognition, whether you're in meditation or you're moving around your day and you're going about your business and you catch yourself saying whatever thing that you really would rather not have in your life experience, you say change. So pick whatever's easier for you to remember, whatever resonates higher with you. You can say change, or you can say cancel. I sometimes say change, and sometimes I say cancel. It just depends. Whatever feels better, I'll say cancel, change, because I don't want to bring that into my experience. It's like, oh my gosh, that guy is such a pain in the neck, cancel, because I don't want to have a pain in the neck. When I got hit by a bus, trust me, I had terrible, terrible pain in my neck. I don't want to ever have to experience that again. Pain in the neck, pain in my back, pain in my leg. I mean, that was not fun at all. So the bottom line is, what thoughts do you no longer want? So you can say, and I would encourage you, especially if you're meditating alone at home, or if you're doing an online group meditation with a group of friends, with a group of other fellow genius mystic healers, you can hit the mute button. You're still listening to everything. And you could speak out loud if you have the urging or the desire to speak, go ahead and speak it, because you are engaging more than one sense. You're not just hearing the guided meditation, you're hearing it. Your brain is engaged in the auditory aspect. You have the visual aspect. Even though your eyes are closed, your eyes are seeing in that other dimension. When you first start, you may not see, but as you continue with your meditation, you will see certain things. You may have crisp pictures. You may not have crisp pictures. Maybe you'll see energy swirling in different colors. Maybe you'll see geometric figures. Maybe you'll see both. Maybe you'll see figures, or you'll have memories, or flash forwards or flashbacks. And at the same time, sometimes you'll taste something or you'll smell something. So as you speak, you're engaging not only your gustatory, because as you speak, there's a certain taste to speaking, but there's also the physiology of speaking, which engages the different portions of your brain. So I would encourage you to go with the flow. If you feel that you need to say it out loud, again, this is for you. Meditation is for no one else but for you. So you're knowing yourself and you want to allow that to come through. Tori, the other part of your question was, for instance, during one meditation, Dr. Joe says, what thoughts do you no longer want, or what thoughts do you want to wire and fire? Again, you're affirming, you're confirming. You have a target, a goal, a dream of a specific vision, a specific clear intention that you want. So that's what you want to wire and fire. Whether it's getting a new car, driving to Florida, being back in super excellent shape, making X amount of dollars, or receiving a certain amount of maybe you're selling something, either a piece of real estate or stock or crypto or what have you. So as you embrace that, you've got that clear intention, and then you have that elevated emotion. The next part of your question here says, do you just think of them in your mind or say them out loud? So we kind of discussed this already. It's both and. It's what you choose, okay? Do you have any other further questions before I move on to question 2, either Tori or anyone else? Okay, so I'm going to go on to question 2. Question 2, it says, during Botech, I have both 1 and 2. Do I just listen to what Dr. Joe is saying during the blessing part, or do I say something of my own during this part? So I think everybody, when we first start doing Botech, we just listen to the guided meditation. And then there's a part of us that's wondering, it's like, okay, because he talks about the formula, having a clear intention, add the elevated emotion of love, of appreciation, of gratitude. Where do I insert that? So what I tell people to do is, like, again, meditation is to know yourself. So when you start the blessing of the energy center, or when you start any meditation, have a clear intention for whatever your target is, whatever your goal, whatever your dream is. If you don't have a target, and this happened to me for a while, where I did not have a specific target in meditation. And there are times that you want to do a meditation where you're just open to receive whatever it is. If there's maybe you just want the divine to let you know what is the most important thing that you need to know at this time. Okay, that's a type of meditation too, where you're just open to receiving and you're not putting a clear intention. You're just receptive. Okay. But for the most part, I feel that you do need to have an intention and you have a target. If you don't, then one of two things will happen. Either you will have whatever it is that the divine wants to bring as a download to you, or if there's nothing in particular that needs to come, you will just have a profound sense of peace, calm, and serenity, which is a pretty big payoff, I would say, for most people on the planet today, given the circumstances that we've been experiencing over the last 2-3 years. However, once you establish peace and serenity and calm, you want to be able to manifest health and well-being. You want to have success in different aspects and areas. You want your entire life to get better. So, we are here to create and to co-create with that energy. So as you put that focus, then you get to insert that and you set the intention at the beginning. So whether it's Botech 1, which as you guys know is, or may or may not know, Botech 1 is 42 and 10 minutes long. That's a great meditation. It's no longer available on Dr. Joe's website. He redid it. And so now it's an hour and a minute long. Still a fantastic meditation, just 21 minutes longer. But as you're doing that meditation, you set the intention and then you bless each energy center. So you start off, energy center 1, you're blessing it with love and whatever your intention is. So that whatever the intelligence that's from your first energy center will contribute to your hitting the target of whatever your intention is. Then you bless the second energy center as he guides you. You bless it with love and you bless it to receive whatever intelligence that needs to come from the second energy center, because each energy center has its own brain and its own wisdom, its own infinite intelligence. So you just bless it, each one with love, and bless it with whatever intelligence that needs to come forth. Okay. So the third question is, what happens if I forget one of the symbols for a particular energy center during meditation? I do forget sometimes, and it tends to get me a little flustered. Best way to handle. Well, you're not the only one that was flustered by this. I was flustered by this too. I don't know where. I know I had something with Coheal International not too long ago where we talked about the blessings of the energy centers, and we shared our signs and our symbols that we use for each energy center and why we picked what we picked. And so what I did before I even did that was I wrote it down on a 3x5 card. You guys know I'm really big about using 3x5 cards. I don't have the most recent blessing of the energy center symbols, but I will tell you that I remember being challenged during meditation, because I would, in meditation, as you're going deep, oftentimes you don't stay here in the awareness of the here and now, because you become no one, nobody, no thing, nowhere, no place, and no time. You shoot off and you literally feel this like downshift, and then all of a sudden you take off to who knows where. You're like going far, far, far away, where sometimes you can't even hear Dr. Joe talk anymore. And you're just like, whoa, you have no idea where you're going. It's very calm, very peaceful. Sometimes it's dark. Sometimes you see all sorts of like this light show going on. Sometimes you see other beautiful beings. There's sometimes messages that are given to you. And so as you're in that place, you're just experiencing what you're experiencing. And so, yeah, at that point, I've forgotten all my signs that I've assigned. That's not even on my radar. Doesn't matter. It's still okay. As you use the same, like I have had the same symbols for my energy centers for I want to say maybe it's close to a year. I should have written the date down. It didn't occur to me to write the date down, but I know it's been at least maybe close to a year that I've had the same symbols. And as you have certain things manifest, if you want to change one symbol for another, then, you know, again, it's your practice. So you can change whatever symbol. If, for example, maybe you had a fifth energy center that was blocked, and maybe you had trouble speaking your mind and speaking your voice and having your voice heard. Maybe you put a lightning bolt there because you wanted to, you know, shed light with your voice. So maybe that's a symbol that you have for your voice. Or maybe you use a lightning bolt for the symbol of your third energy center, which is the center for willpower. It's also where your gut brain is located. In Taoism, they call it the Dantian. And that's like your third energy center. I don't think you could see this on camera. Let me, if I stand up, you could see it's like 2 inches above your belly button. So maybe if you want greater willpower, you might want to put a lightning bolt, or maybe you have something else that represents power that you want to use as a symbol there. It's whatever it is that you choose. So yeah, I'm trying to think of yeah, all my different symbols. Like I have for one of my energy, for my third eye, I have a light bulb for my third eye. Why? Because I want more illumination, more light. I'm always calling in, you know, one of my practices is every time I go to meditate, I call in all the healing energies across all time dimensions, space and reality, from all the stars, star systems, and all the star galaxies. If there's a healing, positive, light energy that's available anywhere, you know, they say that there's multiple multiverses, universes. I don't care what plane of existence it is. If it's a light energy that is a healing, loving energy, I call it in. And I want my third eye to be as brilliant as possible, in the sense that I'm able to perceive and pick up everything, anything that's humanly possible. And I know that the more I practice that, the more my intuition's going to go up, the more my different abilities are going to increase. So the best way I know to handle that is to write your energy centers down. So I'm going to just kind of do a little, we have, you know, 8 energy centers, right? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. I can barely, maybe I'll put it on the other side. So it's 6, 7, 8. So I would just take a 3x5 card. I wrote it this way only because I only got 7 and I did it this way. Although my actual card, maybe I'll bring it next Monday and share it with you guys. But then all I would do is I would draw whatever symbol it is that you want to put in each one of your energy centers. So maybe your first energy center, I have the caduceus, which is on the cover of Becoming Supernatural. So I have the caduceus, which has the spear and it has the 2 snakes that are going up, which is the medical symbol. So maybe you just draw something. I'm not an artist, at least not for drawing, but you know, you might want to do something along those lines. Maybe your second energy center, which is just 2 inches below your belly button. Maybe you'll give it, let's see. I don't know. I'm just going to put the infinity symbol for now. Maybe the third one is your center of your willpower. So let's say a lightning bolt. Believe it or not, that's my attempt. Again, you don't have to be an artist. As long as you know what your symbol means. And if you want to write next to your symbol, okay, I picked the first symbol because this is what it means to me. My second symbol because this is what it means to me. My third symbol, if you want to, you know, again, this is for you. My fourth symbol, a heart, because you want to just keep an open heart. So maybe you put a heart for your fourth energy center. Or maybe you want to put a flower. Maybe you want to draw a lotus flower representing that your heart is open and it's just flowering open. You know, flowers have one of the highest vibrational energies on the planet. So maybe you want to draw a flower that's open, representing a completely open heart, because that's where all the magic happens, is once you have an open heart and you have it connected to your brain, and now you have heart and brain coherence, and it's like, whew, you know, amazing things happen, right? So maybe your fifth energy center is your your voice, and maybe your fifth energy center, trying to think, maybe you put a circle for wholeness. Maybe you want to have resonance in your voice. Maybe you want to be complete in the way you express yourself, complete with how you use your words in spoken form and written form, because your voice is not just limited to how you speak, but also how its expression. So maybe you put a circle representing wholeness. Maybe your sixth energy center, which is, this is your voice, your sixth energy center, which Dr. Joe does 1, 4, and 6. So your
Watch the movie now. I'll give you.
1, 4, and 6. So you might want to use for your sixth energy center. Like I said, I did a light bulb, so I'll do a light bulb here. So there's my little attempt at a light bulb. And because you just want the illumination of having that light information and being able to receive it, interpret it, and then, receive it and send it out, so that it's like this continuum, right? Your seventh energy center is your pituitary gland, just a couple centimeters behind because your pineal gland is in the right center behind your eyes. It's like right in the middle of your head. So I think I've showed you guys pictures of that before. So just below that is your pituitary gland.
I'm doing dishes.
So as you, maybe for your pituitary gland, maybe if you're having hormonal things, or maybe you are premenopausal or during the middle of menopause, or even postmenopausal, maybe you want balance of your hormones. Maybe that's an issue. So you could draw, trying to think how I would draw a scale. Okay. So you might want to draw a scale representing balance. If you have a better way to indicate balance, then I would, use whatever symbol you could use to represent balance. But that is a symbol that you can use to say, okay, when I focus on that, I'm giving the command to my energy centers and to my brain to balance everything, balance your hormones, balance yourself in your entirety. And then your eighth energy center, let's see, what could we pick for? I'm going to, I've never used rain before, but I'm going to use rain because it's speaking to me right now, because I want to be showered with all that wonderful goodness. My eighth energy center, sometimes Dr. Joe, he says, to touch the very top of your head and use that as your eighth energy center. Other times it's 18 inches above your head. But I want to be showered with all the light, 360 degrees in every direction. I want it to be coming into all of me through my eighth energy center throughout my entire being. So I used rain, and yeah, that's what again, as long as you know what it means. So I just put a bunch of dashes going down to appear to look like rain. So as long as you know what it means, but I just want to be showered with all that light energy, and that I would have that higher level of knowing from that eighth energy center. So does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So let's see, here we are. The other thing I want to talk about also, as far as the meditation, let's see, we've got a couple more questions here. If you give me a second, I will pull that up right now. Okay, so the fourth question, what if my vision of the future, walking on the beach, running, going to the pool, going to dinner with friends on their boat across the bay, is a memory from the past? It's a good memory. And it says, I want to do some of the things as before, only without any disease in my body. Do I need to envision something that is slightly different? No, I mean, you have success in your past. So the thing is, there's no problem. Sorry about the squeak. There's no problem referring to things that are in the past that you had success with. Those are all good feeling states. The problem is when you go to the past and it's a bad feeling state. So the joy that you felt as you ran, as you were going to the pool, going to dinner with your friends, think about the laughter that, the funny jokes, the pranks that you guys did with each other. Think about like funny thing. Maybe you had a really funny, like now I'm remembering as I'm reading this, I'm thinking of this one funny waiter that a group of friends we went to an Italian restaurant in Palm Springs. And there was this one waiter. He was hysterical. I don't know how one of us didn't choke because we laughed so hard during dinner. Every time he would come to our table, we just were like laughing up a storm. That was fun. I would love to have an experience like that again. I mean, that happened a really long time ago. And it can happen again. So use those positive memories. Yeah. Use those experiences to create more of that. Oh, we've got it. Someone else joining us right here, Janitha. So use those positive experiences because your body has that. We talked about the cellular memory during the Intuition Manifesto Masterclass last Wednesday. We talked about the 4 levels of memory. And so you can watch that broadcast if you're part of the Intuition Manifesto Masterclass. But know that you already have that memory in you. And so you can tap into that and you can make that grow, especially if you're in a place. I mean, we're all in a place where we want to create more things, more health, more wealth, more prosperity, more abundance, all these awesome things. So yes, I would definitely use those past experiences. Anything else that you recall that would bring you joy, that put a smile on your face, that you're like, man, I had a blast doing that. Might even be a good idea to write. Let me write 5 things that I remember doing in the last 5 or 10 or 15 years that I absolutely I wouldn't mind doing that again. And use the feeling state that you had as you experienced those things. Use those feeling states to recreate more of that in the now, because as you recreate it and refeel it in the now, that becomes a very real experience. It's a real manifestation in the now. And then what your brain is going to go is your reticular activating system is going to go, oh, this is what she's searching for. This is the order. Like, okay, so now it's like scanning your environment to make sure that it puts you in the direction of more of that type of vibration, more of that type of feeling. Okay. Let's see, what's the next question? Okay, so yeah, it says, I want to do some of the same things as before, only without the disease in my body. Do I need to envision something that is slightly different? The only thing I would envision in terms of something slightly different moving forward is whatever short, medium, and long-term goals that you have set for yourself. I really believe that one of my definitions of happiness is progress. So I know that I feel happy as long as I am progressing and moving forward towards the realization of whatever it is that I have as a goal, as a target, as a dream. So if I'm making progress, if I'm stagnant, I'm not as happy. If I'm falling behind, or I'm perceiving that I'm falling behind, oh, that's kind of not fun. That's kind of more miserable. So I don't want to go backwards, and I don't want to be stagnant. I want to, even if you are moving forward and you make a mistake or a perceived mistake, I'm going to say a perceived mistake because sometimes those perceptions of errors or mistakes or things that we think we did wrong, you add a little bit more time and you realize it wasn't a mistake. It was a course correction. It was perfect. I would not have done that on purpose. However, in the moment, I thought it was a mistake, but you know what? It was a zig to my zag. I'm zigzagging my way. It's never a straight line. As much as my A personality type would like to micro plan out every little detail and have it be a straight, perfect line from A to B to C to D, it's not how it works. It's a zigzag with course corrections. Sometimes it's little course corrections. Sometimes it's a big course correction to get me so that I ultimately reach where it is that I want to go. And then the trick is, once you accomplish whatever it is that you have as a target, you keep on setting goals. I had someone not too long ago, last month, who she had set this really big goal to buy this big, beautiful, really large home here in Southern California. And what she wasn't even sure that she could pull it off. And lo and behold, and she's a single mom. She was able to pull it off, do it fabulously well. And then 3 or 4 months after she moved in, she came to me because she had lost her luster. And part of it was that this seemed like something so monumental, so unlikely that she would be able to accomplish. She pulled it off, and then she didn't have another goal to keep pulling her forward. And so, interestingly enough, her production, her success at work, her income, everything started going down afterwards because she hadn't set her sight on something else to set her reticular activating system that would excite it and keep it moving forward. So for those of you who've had private sessions with me, you guys know I'm a big proponent of, let's set something out within 2 weeks. Let's set something out within, let's say 3 months, that 90 to 100 day mark, 3 months, 6 months, short term, 3 to 5 years, 10 years, and then 20 years. You want to have very short, because you'd be surprised. And some of you here know you've experienced amazing things that happened in less than 2 weeks. It happened in days, just after you set certain goals. And after a session, it's like, oh my gosh. And as you continue to set what I'm going to do in a couple of weeks, 30 days, 3 to 6 months, 3 to 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it's amazing how much more you will accomplish and the excitement that you will feel. And you genuinely, it's not an artificial thing. That focus, because you are using your free will to focus on what you chose, what you wanted. You're not focusing on the wanting and pining for it, like the desiring, acknowledging that you don't have it. You are putting a target and you go, I know I'm going to accomplish this. I'm setting it for 2 weeks. If for whatever reasons, like case in point for myself, I had a target 30 days after my book launch. I'm going to be totally transparent here. So I set a target to have 100 reviews in 30 days after my book launched on February 22nd. Now, did I get 100 reviews? No, I didn't make that number. I did have all 5-star reviews, which is an awesome success. So what did I do? I just reset my goal for another 30 days. I've got what I want to do in 2 weeks, what I want to do in 30. So I just keep on resetting it. So maybe that was a little ambitious. Doesn't matter, but maybe I wouldn't have had all those 5-star reviews had I not set that initial goal. So I'm still zigging and zagging. Am I let down? No. It's like, and until the hour of the 22nd of March hit, that it was 12:01 onto the 23rd, I didn't reset that goal until, because anything can happen it's kind of like the 11th inning at a Angels game or a Dodgers game. Or I got to say, even my alma mater is kind of famous for this too. The USC Trojan football players. It's like, we may have been ahead in the first quarter. We may have fallen behind, in the second quarter and maybe after halftime. And now we're behind in the third quarter. And now we get into the fourth quarter and it's like, wow, we're still 1 or 2 touchdowns away. And it's looking like, hey, we might not win the game against Notre Dame or our arch rival or against UCLA. And then something happens in the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter and we win. Now, had we given up, had our football team, figured, oh, well, yeah, we've been behind for the last 2 quarters. It's not going to happen. Let's call it a game. No, it's not over until it's over. Somebody's got to win. And so they flip the balance over. And once the fourth quarter is done, then it's done. If they gave it their all and it still didn't come through, at least they gave it their all. There's always next time. But I can't tell you the number of games that I witnessed because when I was at SC, I went to every single game. And that happened. I don't know if it's just something in our USC Trojan football DNA, but that kind of happens more often than not. But I think that's a metaphor for us in life to recognize that, okay, you know, you may be down to the last 6 hours, 3 hours, the last hour, 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. It's not over. Don't ever give up. Give it your all until the very end. Do whatever you can, especially inspired, intuitive action. If you have a hunch or a gut feeling about something, that is your indicator to go. Okay, do we have any other questions with regards to intuition that you guys would like to ask? Okay, so I'm going to share. I want to share something exciting that happened this weekend, which I originally wasn't going to share. And I've had all these really cool things that have happened this weekend. So on Friday night, I had a friend who, she's a genius mystic healer. I met her at the Dr. Joe week-long event in Cancun, June 2019. My dear friend, Katie. Katie is amazing. She's from Boston, and she is now living, she just recently moved to Marco Island last year. And so anyhow, I happened to be at, I was at Fashion Island. I was shopping for a friend from high school who, her birthday party was going to be on Saturday the 9th. Well, my grandmother's birthday was Saturday the 9th. So when her and her husband sent me the invitation and said, hey, you know, we're inviting you to Mia's birthday party, da, da, da. I thought, oh my God, that's my grandmother's birthday, of course. So as luck would have it, so it's Friday night and now I'm at Fashion Island and I'm shopping for a really pretty gift for her and all that, and had a great time. Once I left Fashion Island and I was heading home, when I got to the parking lot, as I walked, my friend Katie, the image of her came into my head. And I just thought of her and I'm like, oh, I wonder what Katie's doing. And in that moment, it's like, okay, you know, she's on the East Coast. I was wondering if she was still in Marco or if she went back to Boston. And, you know, I had the recognition that it's 3 hours later over there, right? Because it was about 9 p.m. So I'm like, okay, it's around midnight over there. I can't call her right now. I could text her. And I thought, well, maybe I'll text her. Definitely call her in the next 24 hours, because whenever I have somebody that comes to mind, I know that I'm supposed to reach out to them. So I thought, oh, and it just put a smile on my face. So I walked to my car. I kid you not. As soon as I sat into my car, I'm going to show you, I actually got a text from her. I'm just going to show you real quick, which was so amazing to me. It's still, I don't know if I'll ever get used to all the signs, the symbols, and synchronicity, but it was so fantastic. So here we are. Yeah, so 8:37 p.m. California time. So if you see here, you can see the time on the bottom right. It says 8:37 p.m. right on this side. So my friend Katie sent me this, and she goes, I just listened, squeaky chair. She goes, just listen to your podcast about writing, about the auto-metanosis, which is the Intuition Manifesto Masterclass last Wednesday. She goes, I got to do this. So laborious. I don't want to bring it all up. The fact that you couldn't burn yours easily was so riveting. Da 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 da. So I thought, how uncanny that I was just thinking of her, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to text her and I'll call her tomorrow, and I get her text. So as soon as I saw that, when I sat down, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to call her. So I called her right on the spot because she just texted me. So she's obviously up. We had this amazing conversation, too many things that aligned, and more synchronicity, intuitive hits that she had and I had, some of them numerically related, some of them related to other things. It was just like, OMG, OMG. As she would say things, we would both get the goosebumps, and we would have like that energy flowing through our bodies. We're like, oh my gosh, something is happening here. So exciting. So that happened on Friday night. So now fast forward to Saturday. So as signs, symbols, and synchronicity, which I also talk about a lot in the Intuition Manifesto, because as you continue to do your meditations, as you continue to tune in, tap in, and turn on to your right mind and be in that connected flow and bring of more of who you are, where you stay in that right mind more often, more things start showing up. So you can't make this stuff up. It's so insane. So Saturday, once my friends started arriving and the birthday girl was there, she's like, well, actually my birthday, she goes, is actually on the 15th. I'm like, no way. I go, did he tell you, did your husband tell you that on my grandmother's birthday's today? She's like, yeah, he mentioned that to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So what are the chances? It's like same day as my grandmother. And then she goes, but my actual birthday is on the 15th. She goes, it's tax day. I go, no way. My daughter's birthday is on the 15th. She's like, no way. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like, you're the only other person I know whose birthday's on the 15th. What are the chances? So then she goes, well, his birthday, he's a Gemini. I go, really? My dad's a Gemini too. I go, my birthday's also in May, but I'm not a Gemini. I'm at the beginning. I'm a Mother's Day baby. And so he goes, so I say, my dad's birthday is the 29th. And then he says, my birthday's on the 29th. Like, now, if you knew my friend from high school, he's like a total jokester. He's always laughing. He's always joking around all the time. He was always joking around and messing around in high school. So I figured he's just pulling my leg, right? Just because his wife said that her birthday, happened to be the same as my daughter's. I'm thinking, oh, now he's just messing with me. Kind of like doing a I gotcha. He's like, no, I'm not joking. I'm serious. I'm like, nah. So he pulls out his driver's license and he shows me. It's 5/29. I'm going, oh, what? This is crazy. So it's too long to go into all the different things that happened that evening that were very serendipitous. But one of the things that happened towards the end of the evening, which I thought was bizarre, and I wasn't going to share this with you guys, but one of my dear friends, genius mystic healer Juan, who is actually at the Dr. Joe, he just arrived today at the Dr. Joe Denver event, which starts on Thursday. So he told me, oh, you got to share that. I told him about, a lot of nitty gritty stuff. He's like, oh, you got to share that. So I'm going to share that with you guys. So we're at this concert. We're listening to all this great music. There were 3 bands. All 3 of them were fantastic, great singers, great everything. We were right in front. We was standing in front of the stage. So from 5 o'clock till like now 11:30ish at night, my feet are starting to get tired, and I'm wearing these really pretty, kind of expensive, cute heels. I'll show you kind of what they look like so that you have an idea. I could have brought them on camera, but I'll just show you a picture of them right now. So these are what the shoes look like. I love these shoes. They're very pretty. They're sparkly. They have a little bling to them. And they're fairly comfortable, but when you're standing all evening long that way, my feet were starting to get tired and I just needed to sit down for a little bit. So went to the bathroom, and after I went to the bathroom, I realized, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, toilet's kind of like a chair. I'm sitting here with all this paper and I'm going, oh, I could just take my shoes off here for a few minutes and then go back. At least I'm sitting down for a little bit. So I'm like, okay, let me take my shoes off. And I was all ready to go. I was just taking a few minutes to let my feet out of my shoes and kind of relax a little bit. Well, the most bizarre thing happened next. The next thing I see are these hands come under the stall, grab my shoes. This girl went to steal my shoes. And I immediately thought, hell no, you're not stealing my shoes. I flung open the door. So I opened it. Oh, and then as soon as I saw she had long blonde, like braided hair, I just grabbed her hair and she had her hands on the right side. And I'm like, no, you don't. You're not getting away with my shoes. I'm like, Never saw the front of her. And then she's trying to get away, but I have a good hold of her. Now, I've never put my hands on another human being before, but I've never had anybody blatantly steal something like that, like right under my nose like that. So I said, you're not getting away with my shoes. Give me back my shoes. And so then I heard several girls say, she threw them in the trash can. The trash can was literally like right over here. So while I was still holding on, I looked in there, and then sure enough, apparently she had dumped them. And I expected her to turn around and hand them to me, but she didn't do that. They're like, they're in the trash can. So then I looked and I saw that they were in the trash can. So then I let go of her. She took off. and I grabbed my shoes. And I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. Now, this happened in LA. And I must say, this happened on the Sunset Strip, not exactly the best area of LA. If you've ever been to the Sunset Strip in downtown LA, which is like where Sunset Boulevard is, and there's a lot of seedy stuff in that area, right? It's like right there with close to Hollywood. Parts of it, are Hollywood, parts of it are just LA address. The bottom line is it's not the safest of places, but I was there with a group of friends. I wasn't alone. So I was like, what the heck? I can't believe this happened. I recouped my shoes. As soon as I went back into the stall, kind of just like took a deep breath, took a second. I'm like, it's obviously time to go. So I'm like, why is this happening? I know that shoes have to do with the path in which you're walking. And I knew immediately that was a sign for me to go. Like I needed to take my shoes and go, like point them in a different direction. And I thought, wow, it's like, that's so weird that I was able to recoup them. That's so weird that I was even able to, how that whole thing shook out. So I'm like, this is weird. So I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to digest and kind of feel my way through this. I don't feel any kind of threatening energy anywhere. And I'm like, I'm just going to start to make my way out towards the door. In the bathroom, you could hear the music was amazing because it was a Queen tribute. It's this band that sounds just like Queen. The lead singer sounded just like Freddie Mercury. So long story short, I was like still enjoying the music, but my feet are like, they're like at the end, right? It's 1:45. It's time to go. So I start to make my way out. And as I'm making my way out, then another friend from high school happened to see me and he's like, hey, there you are. He goes, are you going? I go, yeah, it's almost midnight and I still have about another hour before I get home. And it's just time to go. And I don't want to be in a big line of cars trying to get out of here. It's time for me to go now. So I know they don't have much longer. So I'm going to start to head out. So long story short, I left. What happened though, the next day I get a text message from one of my friends and apparently all this drama, somebody said something to someone, who knows, all sorts of drama went down where people are not talking to each other. They're arguing with each other and so forth. But guess what? I missed all of it. I didn't get any of it because I was already gone. Now I realized once that answered my question, it's like, why were my shoes stolen? I mean, I didn't do anything wrong, right? And I'm like, I bought drinks for people. I was like there to celebrate my friend's birthday. So I'm like, why would somebody, of course, my shoes weren't stolen. They were temporarily taken. And then from one perspective, I was able to manifest getting them back right away. Because as soon as I saw that they were taken, I'm like, I'm getting my shoes back. It wasn't like, maybe will somebody get them back? No, I'm like, I'm getting my shoes back. It was resolute. So I realized that was the universe's way of having me zag. It's like for me not to go back to the front stage again and wiggle through this entire crowd to the front. No, it was time for me to go because the universe knew that was going to go down. That's not a vibrational match at where I'm at. I did not need to be part of that. So luckily I knew enough about the metaphysical aspects of how the 3D manifestation sometimes works to give you a sign to move, to go, even though it doesn't make sense necessarily in the moment. I knew that was a sign that it was time to go. But it wasn't until 24 hours, almost not quite 24 hours later, but it wasn't until the next day that then it was crystal clear. I'm like, I'm not a vibrational match to, that had nothing to do with me. Any of that history that's going on with them where there are issues that, of course, whenever people drink too much, more stuff is going to come up than normal. In some cases, not all, but in some. And so I missed all of that. So no one could say anything about me because I was not even there. And then my other friend, he saw that it's like, yeah, people are saying, well, where is she? Where is she? Well, it's like, she left. So sometimes I'm sure some of you have heard sometimes you have a rejection. And I I like to say it's like when you have a rejection, sometimes that's God's protection. So in this particular case, I had that circumstance, which really was a protection because I did not need to be part of that kind of dramatic energy. I would have just been there kind of like a third wheel. And it's like, this has nothing to do with me. I would have had to either excuse myself or disappear discreetly. But I was spared all of that and I just left. So I hope some of this helps you guys. I hope it resonates. I hope you start to see how there are things that happen in our life that sometimes look, things can look like they're not a good thing for you. Like somebody taking my shoes, that's not a good thing, but I did get them back right away. And just the recognition that it's like, okay, I need to high step out of here. Does anybody have a question that you would like to ask? I think we're here. Yeah, it's 9:09. So we're at the top of the hour. So we're going to get ready to close here unless you guys have any questions. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in to this meditation secrets on Love and Money Secrets TV. I look forward to seeing you guys next Monday, and we will cover probably, I think we'll do an actual meditation next Monday. We'll probably do Bowtech meditation 1, which is 42 minutes and 10 seconds. We'll take probably 1 or 2 questions just at the beginning, and then we'll go into the meditation, and that'll complete our hour for next Monday. Okay. Thank you, my friends and gems. It's been wonderful seeing you guys all. If you want to unmute yourselves and say hi to everybody, want to do the hearts.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
Thank you, guys. Love seeing you. Rena, Janitha, Tori, Julie, all of you guys. It's just awesome to see you.
Thank you.
Love you all.
Good night.